Welcome back to Perry's Pit on GMs for Hire. I'm Matthew Perry, and I am joined by longtime wrestling referee, been in the game for over 30 years now, Mike Chioda. Mike, how you doing today?
Good, Matthew. How are you? Thanks for
I'm
having
good.
me on the show here, man.
I'm good, yeah, of course. And obviously, you are pretty well known among wrestling referees. Your face was in the middle of the ring for many years, and you were in several iconic matches, and shared a ring with legends like The Rock, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, and you've seen a lot in the wrestling business. So I figured we'll go through your career and kind
Sure.
of walk through everything while we're here. We'll
You
start
got
with
it.
when you were much younger. And your interactions with Gorilla Monsoon. You grew up in New Jersey. You didn't live too far from him, and him and his son Joey actually wound up getting you into wrestling. Talk to me how that went, because were you guys close outside of wrestling, or was he just like, hey, you want some money here, come ref these matches?
Yeah, it was a little bit of everything. We grew up together. I grew up with his sister Valerie Morella, and Gorilla Monsoon. His name was Robert Morella, and Joey Morella was the referee, his son. And grew up with Joey, and I used to do the ring crew when I was like 15, 16 in the summer times. And we used to do like local areas. Gorilla Monsoon he owned it from his Vince Senior,
Mm.
and he was a promoter in just to Jersey, New York, Philadelphia. We had a ring crew area, and Gorilla Monsoon had his little territory. Everybody had their little own territories. Bruno Sammartino in Pittsburgh, out in that area. Everybody had their own territories. So I mean, I worked as a ring crew and was making like 300, 400, $500 a night, selling programs, setting up, timekeeping. And I used to work in the summer times. We used to have fun with it. But Joey and I were both baseball players, and we were like really good baseball players back in the 80s, early 80s and stuff. But we eventually didn't go that path. Joey took the referee career, and he went that path down the road with the WWF at the time.
Yeah.
And then I followed in not too long after that. So when I was 18, I went back full time.
Yeah. You still a big baseball fan?
Yeah, a huge baseball fan. Yeah, yeah,
Yankees?
yeah. Now Pirates.
Pirates. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Pirate fan and a
All right.
Phillies fan too. Growing up in South Jersey, but
You might be in for a tough year, but I'm just glad you like baseball. I'm a big Yankee fan.
yeah,
When you were training, was there any training for being a referee? And if so, what does it compare to wrestler training? Are you taking bumps, or
yeah.
how are you
I mean, it
practicing
was
that stuff?
you learn. I learned. They're learning a little bit different these days because they're getting trained at the PC, the referees.
Yeah.
So it's good. I mean, they're working out. They're looking good. Everybody that comes up is in great shape, and they're getting training every day, every day. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, it slowed down, of course, in the last year. But back in the day when I grew up in the business in the 80s, you learned on the road, and you learned from all the old school talent. And I mean, talking like Jake the Snake and guys I was growing up in the business, George Animal Steel and Rick Martel and Tito Santana, and just Shawn Michaels and the Rockers came in after that for a while, and you just learned, and that was your training. Doing probably 20 some shows a month, 22 shows a month, 20 shows at least a month, sometimes more, going on tours in Europe, 17 days in a row in Germany and so forth. And you just learned every night, and you became better at it every night.
Yeah, repetition definitely helps, and learning from legends helps even
That's
more.
that's true.
Was there anyone in the locker room that kind of took you under their wing and kind of showed you the ropes a little bit more than anybody else?
No, I mean, I'd say Joey Morella did. He was the referee, and he used to always pull me aside and tell me the ins and the outs and how to just be cool in the dress room and respect everything and just do this and how to work in the ring and how to work around the heat, how to not see things and stuff like that. So I'd have to say Joey, and a lot of old school wrestlers, definitely like some of the names I had mentioned and previously, starting in the business like in the late 80s when the Road Warriors and stuff like Dino Bravo coming in from Canada at the time, Frenchie Martin, and just and you learned from a lot of others. You just watched, you did, and when you do a lot more matches and you're doing 3 matches a night, you're learning quick. You're gonna learn, but it takes time for a referee to really grasp a lot of things, in the business, in the ring.
Yeah, you shared a lot of locker room time with so many big names. It's I was smiling while you were just reading them off. Dino
Yeah.
Bravo, Tito Santana. It's crazy to imagine.
Oh yeah. It was Ray Fernandez, Hercules, Paul Roma, just Greg Valentine, the Hammer.
You
I
have,
mean, it was just so many. Hulk Hogan. I mean, just so many old school wrestlers that you learn from. And it's great because each of them worked in a different way. Some were methodical, some were high flying, and some were doing this, and some were just, a certain technical wrestler like Britt the Headman Hart. I mean, Shawn Michaels and all these guys that when I came into, I mean, Shawn, the Rockers came in after I was there for a little while already, but Brett was there full time when I was back at 18. He was there running the course. Of course, he did a good 14 years before the screw job in 1997. So,
that's right.
but, he was running the main events and actually had the title going into Montreal, the screw job.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of old school talent, man, which was
Yeah.
good to learn from. So it was.
It's just crazy to hear.
Yeah, I'd have to say that was probably better than any performance center.
Yeah,
learning that way.
Learning
So,
talent like that, that's definitely a unique experience, especially these days.
yeah, and then over the years, I mean, even Triple H came in as Hunter Hearst Helmsley and this guy, and they would teach you even more different things, and just so many wrestlers I've seen them, that just worked with and worked for it. It was it was a phenomenal run.
How did you feel about? I'll mention it since you brought up Hunter. How do you feel about how did you feel about the Hunter Hearst Helmsley gimmick? Because obviously it definitely evolved over the years. Originally, when he was that like aristocrat type almost.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he did a great job with that character. I mean, he really did. He started off with that. He took that character serious every night. Unfortunately, I think I did the match in Anaheim when I think Warrior went over in like 35 seconds or something like that. It was in Wrestlemania Anaheim way back. So, but I mean, then he worked his way up to the top. That's for sure. Became Triple H, and first it was DX and all this. And I mean, he's had a hell of a run for 25 years.
Where were you around the time of the curtain call?
On the curtain call when April 15th?
I don't remember the exact date, but the infamous moment where Nash and Hall were leaving for WCW, and after the show they bowed to the crowd, and you're not supposed to do that. It was, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I'd seen it later on, but I heard about it and all that, but I wasn't there exactly. So.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. I remember that curtain call. There's a lot of curtain calls.
Yeah.
Probably the most was Alondra Blaze had that title, and she took the WWF title and just stuck it in the trash can. I went, oh my God! Like, you just can't let them leave with the title if they're gonna leave. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was an iconic moment for sure. And speaking of an iconic moment, the 1, 2, 3 Kids upset victory over Razor Ramon.
Right.
You refereed that match.
Yeah.
What was obviously the crowd was shocked. No one saw that coming, and that's still to this day known as one of the biggest upsets in WWF WWE history.
Yeah.
Was the backstage reaction just as shocked as the fans, or what were?
Yeah, I mean, it was a time, like it was time that Razor had to do the job and put the kid over and start his career. I mean, he moved forward, and what a place to do it in Manhattan Center. It was just such a great vibe. And I mean, that place used to just rock every Monday night. And it was just a great crowd in New York City. Of course, New York City, Madison Square Garden, but you had that same crowd from Madison Square Garden in Manhattan Center. So it was a phenomenal vibe, and it was just the start of his career. And he had to put the kid over, Did he come to me and say, hey, he's like, Coyote, I need you to count a little bit faster tonight, man. I want that 1, 2, 3 quick. I said, you got it, Razor. It's like, I wasn't going to get no heat from 1, 2, 3 Kid, but I would have got heat from Razor, man, if I didn't do my job.
Was Scott Hall ever a tough guy to work with at times?
No, not for me, man. He was a great guy to work with, man. He was great.
Cool.
Beside his outside problems, I mean, he's a great guy, great dude, fantastic worker, had a great gimmick, I mean, I was doing robes before I was even refereeing, and I used to have to take his robes and his gold chains and all that, when I was younger, 18, 19, and he'd take that toothpick and he'd be like, sorry, Coyote, and he'd throw it right in my face, man. And it was like, oh, but then when it come to do his matches, and at that time we were wearing the blue shirts and bow tie, and I had the mullet.
Yeah.
But that was an awesome time, awesome feeling. And, and actually it boosted the kid's career up. 1, 2, 3 Kids, and it became X-Pac. And, awesome.
Now
DX.
WWE Hall of Famer. So
Yep,
that-
Hall of Famer.
definitely,
Yep. Congratulations, X-Pac.
yeah, good stuff for him. You keep mentioning Coyote. How did you get that nickname?
Yeah, through Hogan and Razor and all those guys.
Really?
Yeah, it was some old, yep. And then when The Rock came, he actually changed it to Chi Chi. And I said, man, I said, Rock, you can't do that. I go, no, I don't like Coyote. He's like Chi Chi.
That definitely seems like a Rock thing. Yeah.
Oh my God. So he changed my name to Chi Chi, and then it became Kiki. So, you can't make up your own nickname. They say
Right.
people are gonna make it up for you. So
I'm guessing you prefer Coyote though over Chief.
yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah, I would think so. 1998 Royal Rumble, you refereed the Intercontinental Championship match between The Rock and Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock wound up attacking you after the match. What's it like getting, and you have several moments throughout your career like this, what's it like getting attacked by a wrestler? Obviously you're selling. Are you paying attention to time, basically?
No, it's just when you get attacked, you got to be there for the spot. You got to know what to do, whether you're going to take a stone cold stunner or the ankle lock, or you know whatever it is their finishing move is. And actually, unfortunately, it was that ankle. And I remember he put it on pretty snug, but I had no reason. I had no choice to sell it. I think I was a little snug there that night.
Right.
But he ain't break it, so thank God. That's all I was hoping for. His adrenaline wasn't going. He'd break it or snap it because
Yeah.
he's a strong dude. Kenny wasn't to be messed around with, man, when he first came in. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he seemed
Good
like
dude,
one of those
too.
guys. Yeah, you don't want to mess with Ken Shamrock.
No, not his brother either, but
Yeah.
I still wouldn't.
Did you ever suffer a significant injury
It
during
was
your?
ACLs over the years, ACL concussions
Mm,
and stuff like that. And then at the end of my career, I had surgery on my bicep and rotator cuff.
okay.
So, and that was around 2019 October. So, and then healed up for that. Went to therapy, took care of that.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's it.
I'm glad you're good, because definitely for some other wrestlers, it's not always the case. They don't always recover
Right.
like you have. So
Yeah, I had the best working on me. I had ACL about 4 years ago, which I had an ACL for many years, no ACL. I wore a brace, but finally it had to get repaired.
yeah.
And then I had Dr. Dugas and Andrews Institute in Alabama, in
Mm.
Birmingham. It's one of the best sports medicine in the country, in the world, practically. Dugas and his team are the best. So I had the best do both, my shoulder and my knee. So, and he did a fantastic job. So it was awesome.
Awesome. Now we do have to talk about the six-man tag match you were in on SmackDown with The Rock and Chris Jericho.
That weak people's elbow.
Yes, sir. You got to talk about the people's elbow. That's an iconic moment for referees
Yeah,
and, of course, for you personally.
yeah. And it was really cool. I showed up to the building that day and they said, "Hey, Chioda, you're reffing." He said, "But you're wrestling in your ref gear." And I said, "What?" I said, "I'm wrestling in my ref gear." And they're like, "Yeah, you're wrestling Nick Patrick, the Dudleys, and it's you and Jericho." Look at two icons in the business nowadays, and
Yeah.
when you look back at it, it was a lot of fun then. Yeah, it was great. But to see even Jericho and what Rock has done after that, that long ago, and they're icons now. So it was awesome to be a part of that match, and thanks for Nick Patrick for doing the job for me. I appreciate it. I know I was probably a little stiff.
That has to be a crazy moment in your life, though. I mean, getting to stand on an apron with Chris Jericho and The Rock. I mean, did you ever think that you would get an opportunity like that?
No, not really. No,
Yeah.
not at all. And I don't think too many reps have ever gotten that opportunity. I haven't seen that really almost done since, maybe like it's
Yeah.
something, but they're not even allowed to say our names. I'm not saying AEW. AEW will put your name over, and they'll
Right.
actually, they make a referee a character, which is awesome. And Cody and them guys and Tony Khan and Jericho, man, they make these referees. So, and it's awesome. But the WWE, it's a little more tamer. It's more rules and regulations, and they really don't put the referee names over. So, I mean, and I understand in one way why they don't, because we don't sell tickets, we comp tickets. So
Well,
it's more or less.
but they should. I mean, AEW does do a good job of that, and they make their referees. They almost help, because they're on Twitter. They're pretty active on Twitter. I see.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and you know their names. These days with WWE, it used to be different, because I used to hear your name quite a bit
right,
along with a few
right.
others. But nowadays, I don't know any of the new guys' names. I know Charles Robinson's still there, but I mean, he's been there forever. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
that's the only reason I know.
Charles, I was out to dinner with him the other night, which was fantastic. So it was a great
Great.
time. And
It's cool.
Chad Patton and Ryan Tran, Sean Bennett, and good old friend John D'Amico that did crew for 30 years. He was released as well, same time I was. Charles is a fantastic ref. He's another one, a Hall of Famer. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Chad Patton and the other guys got to put probably a little bit more time to get into that category of Hall of Fame. But yeah, I mean, it's the referees. They really don't. They haven't put any referees in the Hall of Fame in WWE yet, and hoping that they're going to start at some point. It would be nice to be recognized as a referee. They do put a lot of outsiders in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That even paid dues for wrestling and haven't done anything like that. And you just, you just got to kind of.
Yeah, the WWE Hall of Fame it's really odd how they do it because it almost has no real meaning. I mean, Donald Trump is in the WWE Hall of Fame every year. It's a guy that has
Well,
passed.
I'd give him more credit because in WrestleMania 4 and 5, he had in Atlantic City. And that really boosted up. Those were some fantastic shows in Atlantic City. Because I remember, even with me living in New Jersey at the time, and we had WrestleMania in New Jersey at the casinos, and it was just flamboyant. They put on an excellent show 4 and 5, and that really boosted up the career. A lot of money them 2 years.
Yeah, and then he had the feud with Vince at WrestleMania,
right? And he shaved his head,
yeah,
and stuff like that.
And
Yeah, Umaga, yeah, another good friend of mine. God bless his heart. Eki Fatu passed away.
Yeah, he was fantastic. But
but I mean, a little bit more. Donald Trump would get a little more credit to go there. I mean, than some of the other people that are just night and day. But
yeah, like William Shatner getting in this year, like he made a couple appearances. I know he didn't do stuff like Donald Trump. Donald Trump probably wasn't the best example, but
this guy. Let's see. That.
Oh, that's easy access. I like how you had that in your mind. That's great. He's nice. What was your experience with him?
Great guy, man. He's a great guy. Funny. I mean, look at all the spunk he's got. Him and certain guys like Terry Bradshaw, and they do that show overseas, and that go all over Europe, and and stuff. I mean, what spunk they have. And then one does NFL Today. Shatner's doing commercials. Shatner's doing this. I remember that guy would start the original Star Trek when I was a kid. So, and he's still going. So phenomenal.
But when you think of WWE Hall of Famer, I mean, you can't before you or Charles Robinson, it's William Shatner. I mean, that's not right.
Yeah, I mean, we get a little, we talk about that, believe me. And it's kind of, you just brush it off. We're not allowed on the video games. We're not allowed to sell t-shirts in the WWE. We're not allowed to do anything to make extra money. And so, I mean, it is what it is. It's tough, but just got to bite the bullet. I mean, some things turn around. If you're looking at it now, the WWE went to more women, which women, why couldn't women referee matches and stuff like that? So, and at first the NFL was doing it, and then this league was doing it. So, and all of a sudden the WWE finally started doing it, but they had one, Rita McLaughlin, but she worked, I think, more for the commission. She worked for us a lot in the New York State Commission, but she was a referee, and a good referee way back in the 80s.
Yeah, I do really love how they've implemented more women into both refereeing, and obviously they're getting more airtime in general as wrestlers, and they've been fantastic. I mean, this was long past due. I think we could agree on that.
True.
They've always deserved more time, from Trish and Lita moving forward. I mean, they've had some great talent in the women's division, and they're finally getting the time they deserve, which is great.
Gotcha. You're right.
Moving to 2002, where one of the biggest matches in WrestleMania history, WrestleMania X8, The Rock and Hulk Hogan. You got the opportunity to referee that match and share a ring with them. Record-setting attendance at the Sky Dome, over 68,000.
Right.
I mean, what was the? It had to be an intense crowd,
That was an intense crowd. That was one of the most intense crowds I've ever listened to in the ring, being a part of that match. And it was just, you could tell in the beginning of the stare down, I just marked out. I was I became like this total fan. They used to call it being a mark. So, it's just, you could tell it's just right in the beginning, the crowd was so loud. And then just all after the basic shove off, the basic tackle, it was like the crowd just exploded, and then everybody knew this wasn't going to be a high flying match. It was going to be more of a grounded match, technical match, kind of just showmanship and stuff, and the yay boo spots and the looks and the sell of the crowd. So it was phenomenal. The way the crowd turned for Hogan, man, it was unbelievable. Right from the entrance, we had those people, and that match should have been the last match of the night. Actually, that
100%.
That shirt right there is from the Rock and Hogan match, signed by Rock, signed by Hogan. That's from the Sky Dome, and we got What a Bash. That was the front. That was the front page, and then the up one was the Examiner on that match. Let's see if we can get that in there. Whoop.
That's amazing, though. I mean, it, just like you said, from the stare down, I mean, that's chills right away. And I feel like watching the match, obviously it's different watching it in person. It's not about what they're doing in the ring. It's just the fact that these two human beings, two legends of the sport are squaring off against one another. It's surreal.
It was icon against icon. It was phenomenal. It was just, and to be a part of that match. And I mean, you're looking at it at that time and how many phenomenal matches there are in this business. I'm not going to say it was the best match ever in wrestling. It was just one of the best reactions, and they had a lot to fulfill. I mean, they had to come through because there was a lot of expectations of this match. And even Hogan at his age, looking as good as he did, man, he was in great shape. And you had Rock, of course, in great shape, and Rock even in better shape now. And it was just icon. It was like, I've seen Hogan carry the business throughout the mid 80s and the 90s. And then, Rock came in the late 90s and he took over, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then the Attitude Era was around in that time. And it was just kind of like, okay, icon. And Hogan passed the torch to Rock. Rock stuck around for a little while longer and then went to Hollywood with the torch.
Yeah. So, and then came back and
then came back and he wrestled John Cena, and then he came back again, did the favor for John Cena the second time.
Yeah, we'll actually move right into John Cena and The Rock. Obviously, the once in a lifetime storyline that wasn't WrestleMania 28. You got to referee that one, in which the Rock won. I want to hear about the backstage. If you heard anything backstage about that storyline, because the whole marketing thing was once in a lifetime, and then next year they fought again. So when was there ever a point where you found out that it was leading to that?
Well, you found out like, months before, and you find out this is what they're doing. They're building this match up. They're moving forward, and that's what, and obviously Rock was busy with Hollywood, so he had to make sure, I guess, he had to clear things with pictures and stuff because it was an insurance deal. Like, you can't be signed for a contract for like something with Disney or anything like that, or some, big company, movie company, and then wrestle and get hurt. So I guess once he got cleared and they put that match together, it was phenomenal. I mean, and it was a little like, I could tell there was tension because, you had Cena running the business for the last 10 years, 11 years, busting his ass on the road, drawing houses, selling merch, making us money for 10 years. And then Rock comes back from Hollywood and says, hey, and then, of course that comes from up top, who's doing the job, who's going down, who's going up. So of course, Rock was in Hollywood. He was doing his movie thing, and they felt, got to keep Rock alive in the wrestling business and in Hollywood. He can't say goes back to Hollywood, lost to John Cena or something, or, it's rough, but, he had done the favor the next time for John Cena. That's sure, comes around, goes around.
Do you think that I love long-term storytelling, but do you think that at WrestleMania 28, they knew that they were going to go at it again at 29?
I don't know. I really don't know. That's a good point, but I'm sure that was laid out. I'm sure that was, if I'm going to do this for you here, we better have one in 29,
Yeah.
I'm sure that could have been said. And if it was said by anybody, it was Cena protecting what he had done for the last so many years in this business.
Yeah. I think they each deserved the victory, and neither of them got buried due to the fact that they each won a match. So I think they played that off really well. John Cena obviously right now is focusing on Hollywood and commercials
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah.
Do you think we'll see him in WWE again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm surprised like he's not doing some big shows already. Like, I mean, he should be doing like a Mania once a year type
Yeah.
thing.
They said
So
this is the first Mania he's missed since I want to say what,
yeah,
03 or something
probably
like
oh
that.
03, oh 04, yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, which is crazy to me. Apparently he's stuck in Canada working on a movie, so they can't get him
Right.
due to COVID and travel stuff. He can't make it to Mania. So
Yeah.
it'll be weird without him, honestly. But this gives an opportunity for the new guys to show what they can do a little bit more.
Yeah, but before he went into the movie, did they say, "Hey, we want you to work Mania 6 months ago"? And he said, "No, the movie's more important to me right now." I mean, it could be a little bit,
That would be interesting.
Mania was gonna where it was gonna be 6 months ago. You knew
Yeah,
certain things, so because they promised Tampa last year, it didn't work out.
right.
So they had to give it back to Tampa and give it back to Florida at some point.
Yeah, I don't think anyone pays Cena like WWE does. So definitely something must have happened where he did
He's
not.
making some movie on that. He's making some big ting on that movie.
Yeah, they must
That's
be
it.
bringing him a big paycheck for that movie in Canada.
That's it. That's it.
We move a few years forward to WrestleMania 31. Honestly, one of my favorite WrestleManias, and one of the better, more recent ones. The main event between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, obviously the
Yeah.
heist of the century, where Seth
Right.
Rollins came and cashed in, the
Yeah,
first and
Stones.
only cash in at WrestleMania. Big moment. I mean, this is one of my favorite moments of recent memory. I remember watching this live, and I mean, you could tell by everyone in the crowd, nobody saw this coming. And it was great booking because that way Roman and Brock don't look weak. They're not buried by it. It's just taking advantage of an opportunity.
Exactly right.
Yeah. What was it like, being that guy to cash in at Money in the Bank? Because obviously, I mean, at WrestleMania, because you have to get that going.
No, yeah, it was phenomenal. I mean, it was just it was a phenomenal. I was happy for Seth, and he was a hell of an unbelievable worker. Um, I mean, the guy's a great dude, and I was happy for him cashing it in. And yeah, I mean, it was great booking as far as you said. The way they did it. It's just I remember it was a long way from that ramp. I remember it seemed like forever for him to get there. It's just.
Yeah.
And you could tell, and you could hear the crowd kind of pop, and it just slowed because it was such a big arena. And as they really seen Seth coming, and they put him on a Tron, and the whole crowd started, and and they're like, "Is he coming yet?" I'm like, "He's almost there," So yeah, and he cashed it in. I mean, Brock, phenomenal worker. Roman Reigns, the future, one of the futures of the business too, with
Yeah.
Seth Rollins, and yeah, Seth is wrestling Cesaro this weekend.
Yeah. I'm
But
looking forward to that
unfortunately,
one.
yeah, unfortunately, it's not a non-title match or anything.
Yeah.
So, but
Both
yeah, I'm
great.
looking forward to that one. Cesaro's a great guy and a hell of a
Yeah.
worker too, as well.
Both great workers. I need them to push Cesaro because he's been around for over
Man,
10 years now.
that guy is what some strength. He's got strength, and he's got everything. He's a hell of a worker and
He's
great build, and he's phenomenal. He's fantastic, and I just don't know why he just doesn't get that big push. There's something that somebody doesn't, just holding him back. I don't know whether it's his charisma, but I think he could be funny if he wants. He's entertaining to me.
I
But
think
he's one of the strongest guys in that business is Cesaro.
Yeah, I think he has what it takes. At
Strength-wise.
WrestleMania 30, the first ever Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which I was, I'm going to WrestleMania. I was very disappointed that they're having it on SmackDown Friday instead of one of the nights. I feel like there could have been room for it, but yeah, he won the very first one, and you would think from that could skyrocket a guy like Cesaro, but yeah, nothing came of it. Back on WrestleMania 31 though, that was Sting's first and only WrestleMania appearance. I'm guessing. Did you meet Sting?
Yeah, I've met Sting. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about Sting because I'm personally a big fan of him, and I know he's been around longer than anybody at this point.
No, he's great dude. Cool. I mean, I was totally into his character,
Yeah.
at first, and it's like the Crow character, and so, and then he changed his character on and a little bit more to something else, with the bat and the Crow feeling.
Yeah.
I liked him when he just had the painted face and the blonde hair. It was just
Yeah.
so. I mean, I didn't get to see. I mean, I seen a lot of them, much of them, but I was so busy with WWF, WWE at the time, traveling late nights, doing our own TVs, getting out of late nights, driving to the next city. But when I met him, great guy, a lot of respect for him. Didn't work with him much. He wasn't here very long. So I mean, it was just a great guy. I'm glad to see he's still, kind of somewhat getting his career, and he's over at AEW now.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? Because he's 62, he'll be 63 soon, I believe.
Right.
Uh, Obviously
He
that
could, he could be a producer. He could be a producer. He could do many things. He can, just coming out with his character is a pretty cool thing, whether
yeah,
he doesn't wrestle or not.
yeah.
I mean,
I
coming
was
out with his character and being a manager or being something that he adds to the business.
Oh,
So,
for sure. I mean, just the name alone can sell tickets. I mean, I
right.
saw
Yeah,
him.
totally.
He made an appearance at the AEW Dynamite show I saw last December, and you know,
Right.
limited crowd, but I mean, you could tell when a crowd gets extra
Yeah.
excited for
Yeah.
somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, also thing
Whether
I
it's
think,
1,200 or 1,500 people,
yeah,
they got behind him. And it's great. I mean, that guy's had a hell of a career. I mean, he can add to that product so much just with his gimmick.
yeah. I
And
mean,
then he can be a producer and help out a lot of the young talent growing up in the business. AEW.
yeah. I think that's a great idea. We've seen that on screen with Darby Allin so
Yeah.
far.
Love that. That's a cool character, right? That's a cool dude right there.
Darby Allin's
Love
fantastic.
Darby. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did Darby's match when I was there. Great guy, hell of a worker, and got a good mind for the business.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about AEW in a second, but unfortunately, we got to get to the part in time where last April, the COVID-19 layoffs that WWE made released guys like Rusev, Kurt Angle, and yourself. Uh,
Mm.
where were you when you got the news, and what was your reaction?
Yeah, just shocked. I mean, I thought I actually was going to be taking a pay cut because I had just got a bump in my contract. I think a couple months prior to that. Actually, 6 months prior to that, or a few months prior to that, I got a bump in my contract. We signed another contract, so my contract was up, and it was shocked. I was shocked about a lot of some other guys, but it was Tony Chimel that I started in the ring crew business with full time when I came back at 18, and he got let go after 38 years. It was John D'Amico. I had just seen him after 32 years, another guy after 30. So it was kind of like it was a lot of guys with a lot of years, and then of course the talent. But it was shock. It was like, I figured I moved down to Florida to go to the PC and work down there and do some work with the referees, which I was doing as I was getting rehab for my shoulder,
Right.
and I have a rehabilitation center down there. So after doing that, going down there, I thought I was going to maybe move down to the PC at some point after my just going out strong and hopefully retiring with the WWE, but that never happened. So, and I have no idea why it happened. So
Do you think there's any chance that further down the road they bring you back?
hopefully we'll see. They didn't bring me back. I'm 25 minutes down the road now.
That's true. That's true.
So
WWE.
it's a little it's a little wondering what's going on, but they never even gave us a reason. So that was it. So it just seemed like anybody with 30 something years. I mean, Tony Chimel was 38 years there. I was 35, and kind of like, we were just dumbfounded, did a lot for this business, worked hard, put a lot of time on the road every year for this business. Not in the last couple of years, but over the many course of the years, yeah, we did. We sacrificed a lot. But I mean, they don't owe us nothing, and it's been a great run. And see what door opens up next. We'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of doors, it didn't take you long to find another gig. AEW picked you up. You did a couple matches for them last year. Uh,
Yeah.
and I know you mentioned to me you're currently working things out with Cody and
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, some things work out there, and if I get signed up there with a part time, full time, that'd be great. So, and then if they keep calling me back for matches, whatever, once in a while, that's great for me too. I'm ready.
yeah, why not? And you worked 30 plus years in one company, and now you're moving into another one. You only spent a few nights there, but what are the differences in locker room and atmosphere backstage and the way things are run? Because obviously it's pretty clear how WWE and AEW are run differently.
Yeah, they do. They run differently, but it was a great vibe down there. I mean, I knew a lot of people. It was like walking back into I ran into Arn Anderson. There's Dean Malenko. There's Taz. There's everybody I've worked in the business in the course of 35 years. JR, Jim Ross, and I love that guy. They're all big, friends, and seen a bunch of people that worked in there now, like Rusev, and other guys that I've known in the business, Jericho, Jake Hager,
Yeah.
and so forth. So it was kind of, it was kind of felt like you were home. It was just a different company, but great vibe, and all the young talent, it was great guys. And, the young bucks are cool dudes. They were, just met a bunch of the guys, and a bunch of good guys over there, young talent. They got upcoming young talent. So, we'll see. And they got a great production crew.
Did you meet Kenny Omega? I gotta
Yeah,
ask.
I met Kenny. Yeah, he's pretty cool too.
He's one of my favorites. So I figured I'd ask that. That's really cool,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
mentioned JR. Do you consider Jim Ross the greatest wrestling announcer of all time?
yeah, is one of them. That's for sure. He is one of them. Definitely the top three. JR is just one of them, or top five, I would have to say, probably in the business.
Who else?
So
Who else you got? Ross. Is Monsoon in there?
Michael Cole's Monsoon back with Monsoon and Bobby Heenan were a great tag team. I mean,
Oh yeah, I love
and
listening.
they did their own shows and stuff like that in the studio and stuff. They were great, funny. They used to joke and it's just they were a good team back then. So
Yeah.
I mean, you go through a lot of guys. Michael Cole's one of the best too, and he's been doing it for many years. And Jerry the King Lawler is very good. There's just a lot of them. So I mean, but yeah, definitely Jim Ross is top five. That's for sure. He's up there, man.
I know this guy did color for a bit, and I'm a big fan of his podcast. So I figured I'd ask. He's kind of a polarizing figure, Jim Cornette.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Jim? Because I know a lot of people.
He can cut a hell of a promo.
A lot of people hate.
It's just, yeah, I know why. I mean, why are they haters? But Jim Cornette, he can cut a hell of a promo on you. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
And he's got a great mind for the business. If anybody knows the business from bottom to top, top to bottom, is Jim Cornette. He's one of them.
yeah,
That's for sure.
and then one more before we get to the rapid fire questions. Better promo, Paul Heyman or Jim Cornette?
Paul Heyman.
You think so? Why is that?
Paul Heyman cut some promos too. He's one of the best.
I do love his promos. I will say that. I love both of them.
I'm telling you, man, when I hear him, I feel him. And I'm not saying I don't feel Jim Cornette either, but Paul Heyman's, he's got it.
Yeah, they definitely have different styles, so that's fair.
That's true, and that's definitely, yeah. Paul Heyman can really come with a devious way of style too, So
Oh yeah. So we'll head into the rapid fire questions before we head out. These are just not tough questions, but
all
just
right,
answer quick. We'll fly through them.
shoot.
Your wrestling Mount Rushmore.
I'd have to say, I'd have to give it to Andre, Hogan, Stone Cold Rock, something like that.
Good names. I like it. Nicest guy in the locker room while you were either company.
A lot of them. Cody, Jericho, my boy Jake Hager. I mean, boys, just all the guys are nice. I can't even, I can't bury too many guys in the business. That's for sure.
You've met plenty of wrestling legends, but who's the biggest name you have in your phone contacts?
I'd have to probably say Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio.
Wow.
And so so forth. It goes on.
That's just insane to me. I don't know. That's normal for you, but that blows my mind.
Gotcha.
Will CM Punk ever return to in-ring action?
I don't know. I hope so, because he's entertaining, man. I like him, man. I miss CM Punk. I miss working with him.
He was my favorite.
Yeah, he went away quite a while. Went to fighting and stuff in the octagon cage, and I haven't seen him since. So yeah, I hope he's doing well, and I like to see him. Because many great matches with CM Punk. A lot of fun in that ring.
So he's fantastic. Least favorite match you refereed?
I'd have to say Mega Man Max McGee. It was like years ago in in the 80s, late 80s. And it was just like a bosh. And he was a great build, good big dude, and he's from Canada. And it was like probably one of the only guys we didn't see ever make it, a guy from Canada, because every Canadian that came through that business usually made it in that business.
Plenty, Edge, Christian, Lance Storm.
Oh, it goes on and on.
So many. I mean,
so many. The Hearts. And,
yeah. Oh yeah, the Hearts, of course.
Yeah.
Now you'll be working with Christian again, so that's good.
Hopefully.
Yeah. If you were a wrestler, what would your entrance music be?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. I'd probably have to say, I'd probably pick something. What was that? My Sharona from the thing from the Kinks. It was Mike Chioda. I used to turn, a lot of my friends used to turn that song into me. So with my name, so it was funny.
That's pretty cool.
Probably it's probably a corny one, but
I mean, only a little, but I do see where I see where you're coming from on that. Favorite entrance music of a wrestler?
I'd have to say there was a ton of them. Even like one of them was CM Punk, man. He used to
Yeah.
make him look so huge coming out of that ramp. He used to like Stone Cold's, the Rocks, Hulk Hogan's back in the day. It was just I went through so many of them. Yeah, just because when that music used to hit and that wrestler used to be over like Bret the Hitman's Heart. It was a good little bit of hardcore like rock with a guitar there and stuff. And
yeah, good riff.
Yeah, it was just it was cool. It was cool. There were so many good entrance musics.
Yeah. What would your finishing move be as a wrestler?
Poof. I'd probably say something like the Power and Glories. Well, it would have to be like a suplex into a frog splash off the top.
Little combo, I like that.
Yeah, like an RVD style, RVD Eddie Guerrero type style. I would try and use that. That's what I would.
Yeah, RVD recently inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, RVD too. Yeah.
And then this weekend, as I mentioned to you, will be my first WWE live event, and it's WrestleMania. So, any advice you want to give me as a fan heading into this weekend?
Yeah, I'd probably, if I was you, I'd put a ref shirt on and go do a run-in and hop the barrier and get yourself known out there, man. You want to get your podcast over, do some shit like that. You'll be all right.
I might wind up catching a forearm from somebody, though.
Are you going Saturday or Sunday?
I'm going both days, actually.
Oh, you're going both? Okay.
Yeah. What match?
Wear a raincoat on Sunday.
Yeah. I don't know what match to run in on, though. Maybe the Fiend and Orton. I think that'd be a good one.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Anything with a main eventer, that's where you're going to get it.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, I'm up in the nosebleeds. Those tickets are very expensive, so I'll be watching from afar, but definitely enjoying myself.
I got you,
Mike. That's about all I have for you.
All right. Well, you enjoy your WrestleMania this week and have a fantastic experience, and I'll be watching on the TV as well. So,
thank you.
Check you out.
Thanks.
But if you do a run-in, I'll actually see it, and I'll hear about it.
Yeah, that's something we'll be able to talk about in the future. But thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure.
It's been a pleasure for me as well, and learned a lot, and found out a lot about you and the wrestling business through this. So thank you for that. And for now, for Perry's Pit and GMs for Hire, I've been Matthew Perry, and Mike Chioda with me, of course.
All right. Thanks for having me on again, man.
Yeah,
take care. Enjoy.